here fine, but then after that, 1, 2, you have to then take that next part around.
My name is André Zachery, and I am the artistic director of Renegade Performance Group based in Brooklyn, New York.
Go. So much on my mind that I can't recline, like some holes in the night till I get sunshine.
During this Pillow Lab residency, I am working on an Afrofuturist work entitled Respiration, and it is inspired by the novel by N.K. Jemisin, The City We Became. Through N.K. Jemisin's work, which is speculatively looking at how cities come alive, I am kind of taking that to heart and looking at bringing that work off the page into life through movement, which for me is looking at literally how do we breathe with and through ourselves, through the city. In this case, the novel is about New York City and is looking at how the city lives through these avatars. It's 6 avatars, essentially 5 people for each borough, and then a 6th that represents the city as a whole that kind of ties it together.
You ready to go into your next part? Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Kick, ball, change. Kick, ball, change. Kick, ball, change. Up, release, and 1.
In listening and thinking about different sound to bring in, one of the artists I leaned into was the work of Jemisin, amazing poet, writer, and also cultural organizer currently in Brooklyn, along with my sound collaborator and artist, Okai Fleurimont.
He pretty much has an idea of what music he wants to use. I feel like I'm more of just like timing of it, you know, when the songs come in and out, little soundscapes in between. For example, ocean sounds, the ferry, Staten Island ferry. Instead of using a horn sound, I had my conch shell with me. The conch shell is very similar to the boat sound. That's probably where the whole idea comes from. So putting a little bit of live conch shell in there just to represent ocean and hopping on the ferry about to go to Staten Island. Little things like that, yeah.
There has been an African presence on Staten Island, actually back to the 19th century, even before the act of emancipation. And so that to me is also part of the work and the urgency of Afrofuturism, right? Is again, kind of peeling back the layers and saying, oh, there's the presence right there. And now how do we then bring that forward? You know, we're pulling in capoeira, then, you know, maybe like a house tradition or something like, or even just an old school hip hop or something now in hip hop. It became clear that centering those forms that were literally a part of my life actually needed to be, I guess you could say, the conduit for this work.
I feel like that's what originally connected me to his work. The interweaving and just like this whole idea of being expansive. You don't have to be inside of this one technique or this one movement vocabulary. You have all of this available to you, and like, how can we make it inclusive? Like, how can we make it fuller, bigger? I'm a dancer, and I found out my dad was teaching dance classes in his teens, and I can't believe it because it's not like he dances now, but he was a b-boy. He was teaching b-boy classes. That just goes to show you it's a culture and not like a technique. And as a trained dancer, I'm thinking like technical hip hop. I'm also a native New Yorker, so like just this element of New York and understanding it as like super multicultural, super diverse, and like what started here, like so much has started here, and just learning about like the graffiti and street culture has been enlightening and relatable.
You know, I mean, I grew up listening to hip hop. This year's hip hop's 50th anniversary, and I am a native New Yorker. Brooklyn all day, every day. I was born in 78, so pretty much grew up with it, seen it grow, seen it flourish. So the poetry that Aja is saying in our piece, I lived it, you know what I mean? So I know so much about it.
What? That's it.
For me, Afrofuturism is like the practice of reimagining, reinventing. It's the mystical, it's the magical. I feel like it also expands me as a person. Like I have superpowers, I feel. It's boundless, I feel like. It gives me space to be whoever, whatever, whenever, wherever.
Afrofuturism is inherently a womanist, queer-led, transformative way of breaking open what is in front of us. As much as it is in a way about looking forward. It is about saying no, or saying hold. All of these practices, this folklore, these traditions that might have possibly been lost or put aside, no, how do we bring that forward and use that as a way of making space? And specifically, I feel it's so important to do that through our bodies and through this practice of dance.
What you looking at?
Shuffling it up. Okay. Andre, said I do a little something?
Just a little bit.
That is lit right now. Yeah, that's that. Yo.
That's one. Just gotta do one to save your life. Just one.